This was our absolute worst homeschool year ever. Stick around so I can tell you why. My name is Morgan here at the Life of Tillmans. If this is your first time, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you've been with me before, welcome back. Yes, you heard me say it correctly. This was our worst school year ever in the 8.5 years that we have homeschooled, and it was all my fault. We had a terrible year, you guys. I can't even say anything else other than it was just bad. And I take full responsibility for it because I am the leader within our homeschool and I led poorly, basically. So today I'm going to be sharing with you guys a recap of the school year, all the things that went wrong. And of course, while I share those things, I will definitely come back to the things that didn't go wrong because it was not a complete fail of a year. And then I'm going to share with you guys some things that we are doing differently for this upcoming school year to really help get us back focused. So one of the first things that I noticed within this year after really going back and looking at the year is that I grossly over and underestimated our time and in a lot of different areas. And I did take some notes, but daily things, just really spending either too much time on one subject, not enough time, or too much time in other areas of our house and different things that we were doing. Like, for example, I calculated the amount of time that we spend in our kitchen between breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks in between, eating, preparing food, cleaning up, all the things. And it was roughly, you guys, you will not believe this, like 3 to 4 hours of our day. That is a lot of time just spent in the kitchen alone. And that's not okay. We don't have that amount of time to spend in our kitchen not doing school when we have all of these other things that go on in our lives as well. And so in the process of doing that, it was like we would have 2 good days and then something would derail us or we would allow something. And I'll say I'm not going to say the girls because they were following my leadership, but something would derail me and then it would take us off track for 3 days of that week. So we got 2 good school days in. It was just terrible. As a result, we would end up with a lot of time in and out of the home, trying to school, recognizing that we're not focused, derailed by this, we have to do this instead. And we just really let our school go by the wayside. The second thing I realized that took us down a terrible path for this year is that we had too many days off, way too many days off. Now, at the beginning of the year, I planned our days off. I do that every year. I look at the schedule. I even add in a couple of weeks of buffer time. And I did that for vacations or travel or things like that. But what I did not account for is that this was my oldest daughter's first year going into club volleyball. And we traveled a lot. Or we would have tournaments that were right here in our city, but we're on the volleyball court at the gym all day Saturday, all day Sunday. And we're exhausted by Sunday night. We don't get home until 9, 10 o'clock. And we're supposed to get up in school the next day. We took a lot of Mondays off because of volleyball. She had like 10 tournaments this season. So if you count, that's 10 Mondays because we pretty much were off all of those days. Now, take into account if we were traveling out of the state, we had to be there on Friday. So the whole day of Friday is travel day, packing, things like that. So we took off about 5 to 6 Fridays, a lot of time. And I just didn't account for that. It was a struggle. And all of our other days were already planned. Our vacations were already planned. So by the time I realized that things were going south, it was already too late because I was not canceling our family vacations or things like that. Even though I got to January and I assessed the rest of the year like I normally do, we didn't have our first volleyball tournament until the middle of January. It just got really chaotic, you guys. And on top of the already planned days, plus the unexpected days for volleyball, we had people that got ill. We had to add that into it. And then time changed because we were doing traveling. When the time changed in the spring, it really set us off. Like it was so bad because we were traveling that weekend. So we were already thrown off by the fact that we are in the gym for 3 days. That was a 3-day tournament. So we missed a Monday. We missed a day before. That's 5 days. The time changed. We come back. Everybody's exhausted. We took the rest of that week off. It was just too much. And I could not get back on track. For the life of me, I tried, and it just was really hard. And the third thing that really derailed us is that I was really slow to making decisions, and not just school decisions, but life decisions. And it got overwhelming for me. And I was like, okay, how do I prioritize all of these things? Of course, education is prioritized first. However, this doctor's appointment is only available at this time during the middle of the day. So I have to do it. I didn't have a choice. We had a lot of things going on with our home that needed to be taken care of, just so many different things. And I just really struggled with making decisions, or I did it so slow that it also created additional problems in areas of our lives. We had a water line break. That was hard. It just so many different things. And all of these things put together resulted in us falling seriously behind in our curriculum. And I know some people will say, it's fine, just keep going when you start the new school year. But to me, for our homeschool, it's not okay to be as far behind as what we were going into the month of May. It was not okay. It's still not okay in my mind, because I have a daughter going into 8th grade. She will be taking high school classes. I have one who is preparing. She's already taking, classes that are above her grade level. I have a youngest daughter who is still working through, increasing her reading fluency and comprehension, and we're still working on math. Like, we just didn't have the room for all of the extra stuff that I allowed to come into our days in our homeschool and set us off on a path that felt like we could not return from. And I know that that's not true, but I would like for us to stay within our time frame. And this allows for a summer break. It allows for, extra time. It just went way, way left. So of course, I will never come on here and not shed a positive light, because that's the dark side of our year. But there were some great things that came out of this year that I am choosing to focus on. My girls are choosing to focus on, that we are letting be truly our foundation. Number one is God is still with us, and He is still carrying us and protecting us and doing all the amazing things that He does every single day in our lives. And we will never, ever forget that. On top of that, we also learned and we recognized where the errors were within this year. I believe that reflection is a huge part of our growth. And if we don't take time to sit back and reflect on the positive and the needs for growth, is what I'm going to say to that, then we can't continue to grow, because we don't know where we are, where we fell. And so the fact that we're able to sit back and look at our year as a whole and see where things went off in the wrong direction, and also pull positive things out of the year, speaks volumes, in my opinion. Another thing that's a positive that came out of this is that we have been locked in. When I say locked in, the girls have been working hard. I have been focused, and we have really worked hard since about the middle of May to make up for our lack of being locked in and focused on this school year. And it is paying off. It is allowing us to get done, because we're not done yet with the 2024-2025 curriculum, so that we can move forward and really create a clean slate. That's what we're looking for. We need a clean slate for our homeschool and our family. Another thing that has truly been by the grace of God, and I'm so, so very grateful, is that even with us having not completed everything yet and falling behind and so many days off and all of that, each and every one of my girls has still progressed in their learning. No one has fallen behind as far as their ability. No one's grades slipped, knowledge base decreased, none of that. The grace of God, He held us and protected us through this year, recognizing that we weren't doing what we were supposed to do, but everyone is still progressing and doing a great job, and no one has digressed at all. Now I'm going to shift into what we learned and things that we're going to do different. I'm going to continue to pray. Number one, I always have. I will continue to do so. My prayers will probably be different, that we have focus and direction, and that I'm not foggy brained and clouded by all of the distractions of this world, because those distractions are not going to go anywhere. This is life, right? You can't just remove all the distractions in order for you not to have that, I'm going to call it temptation. That's just not the world that we live in. So I want that to be continue to be our foundation for everything that we do, but especially within our homeschool, because that's what I'm talking about right now. The next thing is we just can't take so many breaks, you guys. We don't have that option. So all of the things that I planned out this previous school year, we just don't have that flexibility. And I also know to build in more buffer days for volleyball, because we are going back into club volleyball in October, prayerfully, if God says so. And those same things will happen. We will still have tournaments. I'm sure we will have days where we're tired. However, I want us to recognize that we can't just take a day off all the time just because we want to. And there are going to be days that we want to, but that's not an option. So it's like really sticking to it and recognizing that you have goals, you have things that you want to achieve. And just because at this moment, our flesh is weak and our souls are tired, that is not how we are to choosing to operate every single day. And as I said before, another thing is just additional planning, just really looking at the year as a whole with a different lens. We are still going to have our family vacations and we're still going to take our birthdays off. But the schedule that I had set for the 2024-2025 school year will not be the one that we will use moving forward. So make sure you stick around, because planning video is coming as well as curriculum, you guys. Like, I have it. It's all stacked up right here. I'm going to record that video, or those videos, because there's 3 of them, for you guys, and I'll get them out to you next week. So make sure you stick around. Other things that I recognize that we're going to have to do is have non-traditional school hours. And my girls are going to, my oldest 2 for sure, are going to have to school like student athletes. And I know that sounds weird because you're like, wait, but they've already been schooling like student athletes. But think about the amount of time, like we have to be at the gym an hour early. They're not doing anything. They're running around, they're talking with their friends, which is fine, but they see these girls almost every single day during volleyball season. So they don't need to spend all this extra time talking. We're going to go find a corner. We're going to sit down and we're going to do our work if we have not finished it before games or before or after practice. Non-traditional schooling hours is going to be something that we are going to have to incorporate, especially during our school ball season, because we do so much up during the day that takes us away from our school hours. And if I had a choice, I would do it differently. And I'm sure some people are like, you do have a choice. You don't have to participate in that sport. But this is a big part of what our family does. And we are willing and able to work around those things without cutting out what our girls truly love and what we love watching them do. Another big thing, and these are not in any priority order other than foundation and prayer, that is number 1, but another thing is discipline. We have to be disciplined in everything. And this goes back to me saying, just because your soul is tired or your mind is tired, we don't get to have a mental health day every day. We have to push through and work through it. I watched a video, and I will try to link it below. I believe her name is Ashley. Her last name starts with a B, but she has a YouTube channel right here. And I don't even know how she ended up in my feed. I don't know. Our phones listen to us. So maybe I was talking about our school year or something, but she had a video that basically talked about being a lazy homeschool mom. I mean, she was just right out there with it, like being a lazy homeschool mom. And a lot of what she said really hit home for me, in that it wasn't that we're burned out. Yes, we do get burned out, but a lot of times, because we don't put certain things into place to help us navigate our days and stay on track, we feel like we're burned out, and that really just makes us lazy. And so I'm going to try to link that video down below. That was me kind of summarizing, but watch the video if you care to. And I felt like it was really important, and it was kind of like that kick that I needed, even though I already kind of knew it. It was just really helpful, and it was right on time. Another thing that I feel like we have to work through for our household is normalizing pushing through when things are challenging. And I know a lot of people are like, no, when it's hard, don't push through. But yes, because we are always going to encounter things that are difficult. And it's like, I liken it to exercising, physical activity, right? If you are trying to get stronger, then if you stop every time that 10-pound weight gets too heavy and you stopped your reps right there, how are you going to get stronger? You have to do 1 more rep, 2 more reps, 5 more reps. You have to max yourself out. And I'm not meaning mental health wise, you guys. I'm meaning simply like, this is hard and I don't feel like doing it. No, we have to normalize pushing ourselves through the hard things. Today is a hard day, but I can't quit every time my child says, this is hard. I don't feel like it. Or I'm like, I don't want to continue trying to explain this and you're not getting it. Like, we try different approaches, but you can't quit every time a lesson is a struggle. You won't ever finish. And so when I think about pushing through and normalizing pushing through hard days, it's more of a, there's physically nothing wrong with you. There's mentally nothing wrong with you. You just don't want to do it. And that is unacceptable because that leads to too many days off in the year and you end up having to pay for it at the end of the year. I just refuse to allow us to continue pushing off the hard things as if we're not going to face it again really soon. So if you're feeling like me and you're feeling like this school year was just not what you intended for it to be, maybe it wasn't. But I challenge you to go back, assess the year, think about the things that were not appetizing about the year, and also focus on the things that were good, the things that were appetizing, and how you can capitalize on that and learn from your mistakes. Thanks for watching, guys. See y'all soon.